start. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Today we're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th Canto, chapter 73, text 7 through 10. Krishna Sandarshana Ladha Vashta Samrodhanakam Yamaha Rashasham Shur Krishikesham Gibir Pranjalayo Nipaha. Translation. The ecstasy of beholding Lord Krishna having dispelled the weariness of their imprisonment, the king stood with joined palms and offered words of praise to that supreme master of the senses. To the next. Text 8. The king said, "Obeisances to you, O Lord of the ruling demigods, O destroyer of your surrendered devotees' distress. Since we have surrendered to you, O inexhaustible Krishna, please save us from this terrible material life, which has made us so despondent." Text 9. O Master Madhusudana, we do not blame this king of Magadha, since it is actually by your mercy that kings fall from their royal position, O Almighty Lord. Purport. It is significant that upon seeing Lord Krishna and thus becoming purified of their sins, the kings did not feel any mundane hatred or bitterness towards Jarasandha, who had imprisoned them. Simply by seeing Lord Krishna, the kings came to the position of Krishna consciousness and spoke these verses, which show deep spiritual wisdom. And text 10. Translation. Infatuated by his opulence and ruling power, a king loses all restraint and cannot obtain his true welfare. Thus, bewildered by your illusory energy, he imagines his temporary assets to be permanent. Purport. The word unnada indicates that one who is intoxicated by a false pride goes beyond the boundaries of proper behavior. Human life is meant to be governed by dharma, spiritual principles for gradual advancement to the perfection of Krishna consciousness. Blinded by wealth and power, however, a foolish person does not hesitate to act whimsically against the laws of nature and God. Unfortunately, this is now the situation in the prosperous Western countries. Om Jnana-timirandasya Gnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Buddhalis Svayam Rupakadamahyam Dadati Swapanantikam. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jai. Thank you, everybody. Before I begin, I'd like to request all of your blessings so that I may speak something which is in line with the Guru Parampara, which is beneficial in our spiritual lives and purifying to our hearts, and that our hearts become fertile ground for the sublime message to take root on. Especially seek the blessings of senior devotees like Arjuna Prabhu and Adipurush Prabhu. So today we're hearing here, there are two important themes that should be discussed today from these prayers by the kings to Lord Krishna. One is from text 9, where they're talking about, okay, they have been imprisoned, they were suffering, and that's why they called Krishna in the first place. Now that they've been released and they got his darshan, they're actually not blaming Jarasandha. They say, we do not blame this king of Magadha, since it is actually by your mercy that kings fall from their royal position. So this is a very important thing, and is that, yes, there's a lot of things going wrong with the world today. Newsflash, it's Kali Yuga, right? things are not going to be nice. Things are going to be in disarray. There's going to be this problem, that problem. Um, there's there's going to be inequality. There's going to be uh, torture. There's going to be famine. There's going to be wars. There's going to be so many things because we're in the age of Kali Yuga. And one, we could look at the news and just become absolutely depressed because we don't have ruling power other than voting. But please vote. Uh, is beyond that, there's not much else we can do. We unless yes, somebody decides to do little things in their community and like that, but it is a bleak thing to do, to be in. It is a bleak time to be in this Kali Yuga. But what the kings are saying is like, don't become overwhelmed by this. Don't become overwhelmed by this. Just see the fact that these things are actually going on by Krishna's by Krishna's will. Now, the first thing that somebody that is overwhelmed by all of these is going to say is, well, how is it that God could allow such things? How is it that it is His will to for all these things to happen? Well, we have to understand that the law of karma, and that, okay, things are going on by the law of karma. We have to do our part in alleviating these things. It's our duty to alleviate to as much as possible. Like, for example, like Adipurush Prabhu is doing, he's feeding the homeless. Like Ramroy Prabhu is doing, he is chanting the holy names. And trying to give these things, out to the public and spiritualizing them, with Krishna. So these things we have to do, but most importantly, especially for our mental sanity, is understanding that we should not be blaming, because we should not be blaming the agents of our karma. If we are receiving these things for ourselves, we should just understand that, okay, things are going on the way they are. And actually, because things are so bad, is that Lord Chaitanya came here during this time to give us the holy names, to show us by his example how to be a devotee. If you notice, Lord Chaitanya, when he came, he didn't just overtake the government, which was oppressing the Hindus at that time in India, in Bengal, during the 1500s. He didn't come and say like, okay, I'm going to kill all of these Muslims that are subjugating the Hindus. What did he do when things got really, really bad? He chanted the holy names. That's what he did. And he went to the Qazi's house, chanting the holy names with a lot of people. And when he went there, he didn't convert the Muslim king. The Muslim king became a devotee as a Muslim. So Lord Chaitanya respected that person's path. He didn't say, okay, you all have to become. No. Chant the names of God. That's what he wants. Whether it's names of God from this religion or that religion, chant the names of God. He was very broad. Lord Chaitanya is very broad. And so we have to understand this broader vision of God, and that when people are suffering in this situation, they're more open to actually receiving the holy names. So we should actually see this time as a perfect time to share spiritual wisdom with people, because they're open When people are suffering, they open their hearts to, okay, I need a solution. Great, here is a solution. How is it that Prabhupada became so empowered to spread the names around? Because there were all these hippies that they were looking, they were just like overwhelmed by all of the inequalities. They wanted to do something. They saw things cannot go on the way it is. And Prabhupada said, hey, here's a solution, here's a different way. If everything was very nice, it is very difficult for people to take to this. If you notice, when you go out distributing books, who are the people that are most likely to get books? There are all sorts of people that take books, but who are the most likely to take books? Uh, any book distributor will tell you that it's those people who need it the most. Those people that are in destitute positions. Generally, when people are in a very great, amazing position, it's much harder for them to accept these things. But we go out to everyone. We go out to everyone, but who is receptive? It's those that are suffering the most. So, okay, it's a bleak time, but we see that things are going on according to karma, and we use these opportunities to give Krishna to others. So that's the first part, and then the second the second theme here that I want to talk today about is from verse 10, in which it says that infatuated with his opulence, the ruling power, a king loses all self-restraint. And in the purport here, the disciples of Srila Prabhupada talk about the word unnada. So unnada, nada means bound, restrained, and unnada means unbound, unrestrained. So when and it said that they were unrestrained because of intoxication, mada, because they were mad by intoxication. How is this? And they were the intoxication of what? Of Raja and Aishvarya, sovereignty and opulence. The Queen Kunti, in her prayers in the first canto to Krishna, she says that there are four things that will make a person unfit for bhakti, and they are wealth, beauty, wealth, beauty, opulence. Well, opulence is wealth.
Noble birth.
Noble birth,
high,
yes,
high parentage.
yes, and beauty and knowledge, right? So these four things will make a person intoxicated. These things will make a person intoxicated because a person believes that they've got everything they need. They believe that now they can acquire everything that they want, that their will has to be done. And because of that, they become unrestrained in their behavior. Okay, I'm getting this, I'm getting that. I can also get this, and I can also get that. Whatever I want, I can get. I can get anything by my beauty. I can get anything by my wealth. I can get anything by my power. They believe that they can get it all. And so we have to be very careful with these things. It is not that a devotee cannot be wealthy, beautiful, of high parentage. No. A devotee can be any of these things, but we have to handle it carefully because it is intoxicating. And the way that a devotee generally does it is by using these resources in Krishna's service. Uh, one of the beautiful things that we have in our tradition is the examples of amazing devotees that actually show by their example that we can live very freely without any of these things. That actually the principle of simplicity is what the Lord really wants from us. And one of those is the life of Kolavecha Sridhar. Kolavecha Sridhar, he was a devotee during the time of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that he was extremely poor. It was as much as um, they say that he lived in this little hut that had holes in it in the roof, and he would maintain himself. The reason why everybody called him Kalavecha Sridhar was because he was a Kalavecha. He sold banana leaves. In Bengal, have you seen how many banana trees there are around? There are so many banana trees. So he would take these banana leaves and he would collect them and he would sell them. And sometimes some banana roots. And in rare occasions, he could find some bananas and he would sell those too. And 50%, this is already very cheap. Now he would sell it at the very minimum price. Very minimum price. Because he said, he didn't want to cheat anybody. And then with that, 50% of that went to oblations to Mother Ganga. So how much was he really getting? How much was he really earning? Not a lot. His what he wore, the simple dress that he wore, had holes, and he didn't even have enough cloth to patch it. So he would just make knots. His knots would have knots. He was just absolutely poverty stricken, but he was extremely happy. He was extremely happy because he was constantly chanting the holy names of God. He was constantly remembering the Lord. And because of that, he attracted the Lord. Little Nimai would come every day to him to buy from him. And for minimum 2 hours, they would be arguing on the price of the banana leaves. That's a lot of time to be arguing about banana leaves. But Nimai would come every single day, and he would start asking Kolavecha Sridhar, like, Kolavecha, how much is this? And Kolavecha Sridhar would give him like very, very small price. He'd say like, that's too much. I'll give you half of that. He said like, what? It's the very minimum. He said like, you're cheating people. You're cheating people with this, and they would be arguing and arguing about this thing. Nimai would say, you take too much, and Sridhar would say like, just go to another place, and then Nimai would say like, no, I know a good supplier when I see one. And after 2 hours of debating about this, he would just take it and he would leave. But Kolovicha Sridhar would love Nimai, and he would be waiting for Nimai every single day because he was so beautiful. He was so amazing, and it's the Lord Himself. This was their interaction, and Nimai, he would not eat anything that was unless it was on a banana leaf that he had gotten from Kolovicha Sridhar. It is said that Kolovicha Sridhar, he would sing the Lord's names into the night, and the people around him, they would throw him like some vegetable, some rotten vegetable, and say like, "Here, Sridhar, like eat this, and you uh, stop screaming. It is because you're so hungry that you're screaming this, and you're not letting us sleep." But he didn't mind. He would just keep chanting the holy names of the Lord throughout the night. And Nimai once said to him, one day, he said, "You're cheating people. You're cheating people because you have a great wealth, and someday I'm going to expose it to everyone." And he was talking about the wealth of bhakti. He had bhakti, so much so that when Lord Chaitanya grew up and he started exhibiting his godhood, especially during a time at Srivas Angan, he exhibited this opulence of being God. He called. He said, "I want you to bring Palavecha Sridhar," and everyone was like, "Who?" He said, "Go to this place. He's going to be there. He's going to be chanting the holy names of the Lord, and bring him here." And so his devotees brought Palavecha Sridhar to the Lord's presence, and the Lord exhibited. He said, he first exhibited the most uh, the most beautiful darshan to him of the of those lords who he worshipped the most, which were Krishna and Balaram, because Shakalubecha Sridhar, in his spiritual form, was a cowherd boy. He exhibited this form of Krishna and Balaram for Sridhar, and the cows, Vrindavan forest, and Kalavecha Sridhar was just spellbound. He was crying out. And then the Lord said, "Ask for any benediction." And Sridhar said, "My Lord, birth after birth, may I always wait for that, for Nimai, for that little Nimai to come and argue over the price of banana leaves." And all the devotees around him started crying with tears of joy and compassion for Sridhar. And the Lord gave him that benediction. It's how much do we really need to live happy? This is what Kolovecha Sridhar is showing. Nothing. How much do we need to be able to make the Lord happy? Just bhakti. The Lord is happy when we and completely satisfied when we just chant His holy names with love, with bhakti. That is all He's asking from us. That love, that is what He wants. Do we need all of this Aishvarya and Raja, this opulence and sovereignty? No. All we really need is bhakti. Wherever we are in the world, whatever we're doing like that, we can all chant. And this is something that is where we can get actually the presence of the Lord in at any time, in any place. The Lord is not different from his name. He makes himself available, especially in this age of Kali, in this dark age. He allows it to be. And with this and with this ability to access the Lord, then we should also give it out to others. It's important that we give it out to others with love, with understanding, and to encourage even the devotees, because sometimes we forget about the devotees. Sometimes we focus so much on newcomers that we forget that devotees also need the encouragement. The devotees also need to get the names of the Lord. We believe that, oh, they've already been given, so now forget about them. Let me go to the new ones. No, even the devotees, we need to give them in the form sometimes of encouragement, sometimes in the form of prasad, sometimes in the form of uh, being a friend, of understanding, whatever. Devotees are going through everything because they're people, and they're not pure devotees yet, like we are. We are not pure devotees. So everybody needs a little bit encouragement. This uh, this week I was seeing there was this um, friend of mine that I saw that she was saying like, oh, you're not. She posted something on me saying you're not in your Hare Krishna era anymore, and then she was just like dancing, uh, and she was dancing, and basically from what I was seeing in there, she was saying basically that spirituality is not uh, antithetical to sensuality. So, and the way that she showed it was she was dancing in a bikini and just like going around like this. So you can see that, well, probably, she had this desire to feel sexy, and probably she was told like, no, you cannot be sexy. That's not spiritual, and you cannot like that. To the point where she just said like, I don't want to be a Hare Krishna anymore. So should we be encouraging people to be sexy? Well, not necessarily, but we should also not be discouraging people that you cannot be you cannot be a Hare Krishna if you do that. Her way of showing to be sexy was just like dancing, uh, in a bikini, which uh, how bad is that? You know, really, if you can keep chanting the holy names, that's the most important. Eventually, we grow old and we don't want to wear bikinis anymore, right? Eventually, but if you still have the holy names, that's the most important. If we continue to have the holy names throughout our lives, that's the most important. So where we should always be encouraged. I was wondering, like, I wish uh she probably had more encouragement from devotees around her to tell her like, okay, just whatever, just keep chanting, just keep chanting. So wherever we are in our spiritual lives, we should encourage devotees to continue to uh, maintain that connection with Krishna, because it's so important. And along the way, Krishna will show us, what we have to do. we're in the shower. We're getting cleansed. So I will leave now a couple of minutes to discuss. It's as Anand Bihar Prabhu asked, if anybody has some questions, comments, or really really funny comments, then this is the time.
Hare Krishna. Can you hear me okay?
Not really, Prabhu.
Is that better now?
A little bit better, but
Better.
still sounds a little bit like far away.
How is that, okay?
We can hear you somewhat, yes.
Okay. The verses deal with the subject matter of how the kings responded to adversity and abuse, inappropriate behavior by the ruling king. And certainly you brought up the point that there are a lot of strange things going on today that are antagonistic and difficult to tolerate and deal with. And so we have a similar challenge. And Srila Prabhupada tells us that if we see somebody who's doing something bad to us or inappropriate, we might just be very self-righteous and, correct all these conspiracy theories, all these ridiculous things that people are doing. Or we might follow the example of these kings and have compassion on those who are engaging in misdirected activity and not get caught up in just holier than thou. So that's an interesting reflex to develop, that we understand that somebody who's doing something that's against the principles of spiritual life is setting themselves up to suffer. They'll suffer for that. So we feel sorry for them. And in any case, we understand that behind everything is Krishna. I hear even some devotees that drift into long monologues about this leadership person or this group, and how scary it is that they're threatening the preaching or threatening the stability of society or leading people in the wrong direction or stirring up hatred. And there's a tendency to talk on and on and on about what they're doing that's wrong without adding, but Krishna is more powerful. We know the story of Krishna being in the grip of the Kaliya serpent, right? And every Mother Jasoda is fainting, and they're trying to keep her from rushing into the water, and all the devotees are crying and in terrible distress to see Krishna in difficulty. But Balaram, it says he was very serene because he had full confidence in Krishna being more powerful than even the biggest demon. So if we do mention all these things in the news that are going on, but we don't mention that Krishna is more powerful than any demon, Prabhupada would say they're bound up by the modes of material nature. If you have a big ferocious demon and he's all tied up head to toe in ropes, bound up, then we're not afraid because we know Krishna's better than anybody, and we're like Balaram. We go, okay, now we're going to watch how Krishna's going to display some wonderful, like you mentioned, that when you see how powerful these demons are, then it actually glorifies the Lord because he can defeat them. Anyway, just a small comment. I'm afraid to Prabhupada what to say. I'm hoping that's a bit of a contribution. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. How wonderful is Krishna.
Prabhupada. it's you brought up a very important point, and it's not sometimes devotees can get caught up also in temple politics. And we have to be very, very careful, especially of these things, because now we're dealing with devotees. And when we start criticizing devotees, that is the mad elephant offense. That is what can really kill our bhakti. That is what can really get us away from Krishna. So if we're not careful of how we talk about devotees, yes, it could be true that so and so is doing this and so is doing that. That could all be true, but it's not about the truth. Oh, people must know the truth and all of these things. It's not about the truth. It's about really, uh, how we handle these things in a Krishna conscious way. Yes, somebody at the Bhakti Center raised their hands. Manohar Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Murari Gopal Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Good to see you.
Nice to see you too.
I was appreciating that point, although it can be interesting in application, but I was appreciating that point of encouraging devotees, just because I've practically seen by experience what happens when too much pressure is put on, especially a new practitioner, and then they can almost crack under that, and then they feel they have to give up the whole process, the whole practice. And it reminds me of two examples, one from Srila Prabhupada and one injunction in Bhagavad Gita, where it's saying, although we see that the activity is lower, we don't disturb them. Instead, we engage them more in Krishna conscious practice. So like you mentioned, like just keep chanting, just keep associating with us, come to the classes, come to the kirtans. And in that way, they gradually, their heart becomes purified, and then they stop wanting to do things like wear bikinis. And the example Srila Prabhupada gave, there was one devotee, she was really attached to doing her hair very nicely. And the devotees were like, kind of like criticizing her about it. And she was feeling very bad about it. And she was thinking to give up the whole practice, actually. But then Prabhupada was about to visit there. So she was saying, okay, this is like the last chance. Like, otherwise I'm going to stop this Krishna consciousness because I'm feeling too criticized. But I'd like to meet this Srila Prabhupada. So when she came in and she saw Prabhupada for the first time, Prabhupada just went, oh, your hair is very nice. So Prabhupada masterfully saw that this was something that was very important to her and gave a compliment there. This is an interesting application according to time, place, and circumstance, but the principle is there. He complimented the hairstyle, and as a result, she stopped doing up her hair nicely. She put on a full devotee attire and became an initiated devotee just by Prabhupada complimenting that thing, not saying not to do it, just because of this affection that completely won over her heart. So I was appreciating that point of encouraging devotees. Thank you, Prabhu.
Chai. Thank you. Thank you, Manohar Prabhu. Yeah, it's so important. We all need encouragement. This world is hard enough. This world is hard enough as it is. And being a devotee adds in an extra layer because everything is so much against us. So if we don't get encouragement from devotees, where are we going to get it from? So we should be encouraging all the everyone around us, not just devotees, non-devotees as well. We should always be encouraging everyone, especially devotees, because they are having it hard, trying to live in this world as spiritual practitioners. Whatever little thing, it's just like at the very beginning, people are like, oh wow, you're going from 4 rounds to 8 rounds, amazing, great, keep going like that. And then once you get to 16, it's like, yeah, okay, have you done your rounds? Why haven't you done your rounds? No, so like keep encouraging, like, oh wow, you've chanted for so many years, like how do you do it? And you look how steady you are. Look, just constantly just encouraging devotees. Oh my God, look at the garlands you made. Like they're so beautiful. I wish I could make garlands like that. Oh, amazing. Like you're the way that you're bringing so many people to Krishna consciousness. You know, uh, how can I help you? You know, how can I serve you, and to bring more? Just constantly helping devotees, and if they're struggling in something, if we see that they're struggling in something, that instead of saying like, oh, like you're in Maya, this is like, no, it's like, hey, like, come, like let's do this together. I'm doing this Krishna conscious activity. Let's do it. Or it could even be something like, hey, do you want to go get a vegan ice cream together? You know, just offering friendship, listening. Like, hey, we haven't we haven't talked in a while. Let's catch up. Let's get together, and for a walk, and let's just talk. We need to encourage devotees as much as possible. They're gonna feel Krishna's love first through other devotees. Let that devotee be us. Let us be that uh, instrument of Krishna that brings the devotee closer to Krishna. And devotees are so nice. In fact, um, it is what was his name? Kalidas, who he he worshipped devotees to the point where he wanted to get their remnants, every single devotee's remnants. He would try to get in such a way, he would do anything to get the remnants of all the devotees. No discrimination. If it's a devotee, I want it. And that Lord Chaitanya,
Kalidas.
I believe that his name was Kali.
With that name, I would imagine he would be like a ferocious personality. It is a very humble devotee, Kalidas. Cool.
Yes, he uh because he would even go and trick devotees, because he was some devotees were from a lower caste, so he would trick them so that they would accept it. He would give them like a really nice mango like that, and then he would secretly try to go into the garbage to get those pits that they had left, just so he could get their remnants. He would do whatever it was to get it. And because of that, the intense desire to get the devotees' remnants, the Lord allowed him to, when they were when they were washing the Gundicha temple, to get the water from his feet. Nobody else would get it, but he got it 3 times. And then the Lord said, okay, that's enough. But nobody got that special mercy from the Lord, but he got it because he worshipped the devotees.
Thank you, Murali Gopal Prabhu. A quick question. We're over time, but it's a burning question. You said how Aishwarya and other things, opulence, aren't necessary for a sincere devotee to be happy and to make Krishna happy. At the same time, in life, things happen, and sometimes a devotee may have a legitimate, I don't know, material need. Uh, what's How do we approach those situations? What are legitimate needs that a beginning devotee can legitimately have and make an effort to acquire, to satisfy? And maybe there's a Shastra reference in that regard that you could share with us, please.
Well, what does it mean to be a need? There, there, there's different needs for different people. What might be a need for somebody may not be a need for somebody else, right? what is simple for somebody is that, for example, to be simple in New York City is different from being simple in New Vrindavan, right? What that will look very different. What is a need for this devotee who has, two kids and a husband or a wife is going to be very different from a brahmachari, for example. So needs are and we have needs are something very internal. So yes, we try to simplify our life as much as possible, just not to complicate, to keep it simple, right? But if you see that you really want something, that it keeps popping up, it keeps popping up in your
Yep.
life, then and it's not necessarily like something illegal, right? Then it's okay to go after it. Like for example, uh, when I was a brahmachari, I was noticing that every time that I had free time, where would I go? I'd go to the books to study. I want to do research in physics. So I thought, okay, this is starting to be like it's something that I want, that is drawing me like that. Is it material? Yes, but it's my mind, that generally likes to go into those topics. And one thing that I noticed one time was that I was getting snappy at people. And I asked Govinda Prabhu from Chowpatty, why is this? Like I don't think I have, like I've tried to be as respectful to devotees, so I don't think that I'm disrespecting devotees, that Krishna's now like making me snappy like that. I I don't feel any animosity, but somehow I'm feeling like this. Why do you think? And he said like that uh when our mind is not engaged properly, these things happen. So I understood that, yeah, like my mind needs this engagement, specifically in Krishna consciousness. So I try to make it as Krishna conscious as possible. If you have a need, if you see that something keeps coming up to you, okay, acknowledge it, acknowledge it, and try to make it Krishna conscious.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. Srila Prabhupada said, simple living, high thinking. So that's our
Yes,
reference. Keep it simple.
yes. You know, we see in the Bhagavatam that Lord Krishna gave opulence to this Brahmin, right? To this very poor Brahmin that didn't have anything. He gave him a palace. He gave him all of these things, even without him asking. But his wife wanted him to have like a good life, and he wanted her to have a good life. So they weren't doing it for themselves. They were doing it for somebody else, and Krishna gave them that. So because Krishna said, okay, they want this thing, and I know that they're going to use it in my service. So if some devotees, they want to make money, that's okay. They have a Vaishya, nature. So it's like, no, you cannot be it. You have to be renounced. It's like, well, if he's a Vaishya, how can you ask that of him? He wants he by his psychophysical nature, he wants to make money. He wants to live well. And if you tell him like, no, that's Maya, you're actually going to discourage that devotee because it's not his psychophysical nature. He needs to make some money. He needs to feel secure. He wants to have a good, in part of it is, having a nice house, having it like that. And if you see, there are devotees like Gadadhar Pandit's spiritual master, who used to have lots of wealth. And Gadadhar Pandit was himself a brahmachari, a renounced brahmachari. So it's not the externals that count here. Everybody has different needs. If you see that something keeps coming up, and you go like, okay, no, let me try. No, but it keeps coming up. Okay, how can I Krishnaize this? That because otherwise, our mind is gonna come back at us from other points, and it's gonna come out through our relationship. It's gonna if we don't address these things, they're gonna pop up in different ways.
Yeah. We should, what's that scripture that describes how one should deal with their mind? Is it Mana Shiksha? It's, I think
Yes.
Rupa Goswami Mana Shiksha. He says that.
Mana Shiksha is actually from not from Rupa Goswami, but from Raghunath Das Goswami.
Yeah. So there, it says very specifically how you cannot ignore the mind, you cannot neglect the needs, because they'll snap back at you.
Yes. The mind is something that is very powerful, and sometimes when we don't when we just try to cover it up, it will start defiguring other aspects.
Yeah. So we should give our mind a higher taste. We should give them something to do positively in bhakti.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, you want this? Okay, fine, but we're gonna make it Krishna.
Jai.
I'm gonna give it to you. I'm gonna give it to you in a Krishna conscious way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Manohar Prabhu has his hand up.
Yes, Prabhu.
Just an announcement from the pujaris. The darshan is a little bit late behind, but they requested that we can begin the Guru Puja, and then we can go from darshan after that.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Manoharji Prabhu. Thank you. So I guess we're going to end the class here. I have to go. And what can how to, Murali Gopal Prabhu, any final remarks for us? Final remarks? Encourage us, please. We need encouragement.
Continue giving your love to the devotees, because that's what's going. Not only is it good for them, but it's also good for our hearts.
I love you, Jeffrey.
I love you too, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Okay. In fact, I love everyone in this call. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Haribol, Shishivada Muralidhar ki jai, Shigara Chandra ki jai, Murali Gopal Prabhu, Hare Krishna ki jai. Take care, everybody. Haribol.